All right. Do a quick little sound check, see if you guys can hear me. I see a red bar, so that typically is a good sign, but we'll see. Hope everybody had an awesome day today. FOMC was interesting. The projections, I don't know if anybody's looked at them. Actually, you know what? Let me copy them here. Link. Put that on Discord. Let me see. Yeah, there's the monetary policy. Yep, there you go. Put it over here too. Let's put it right there. Same time. That way you guys can see it. And it is recorded. All right. So, projections are kind of interesting today. Obviously, we got a bit of a whipsaw, kind of bouncing all over the place. Some interesting hourly candles, kind of up, down. But overall, I would say there wasn't any kind of major shift. Kind of a cryptic statement today, and their projections were kind of interesting. Really no inflation for 2 years, which I thought was interesting. The rates kept low for 2 years. We have a very interesting picture. And then comments today about stimulus, basically needing another round of stimulus. Kind of confused about that one, but again, we saw a pop up in gold, just missed an entry, like literally just missed an entry off of it. Yeah, it's one of those ones. It was like right there. It's like so close, but yet so far away. But yeah, as soon as they mentioned the S word, a predictable kind of bounce happened. So yeah, that's what's you're gonna see that. Yeah, just strange, right? But if you guys haven't looked at that FOMC statement, check it out in Discord or check it out in the link above. It's pretty interesting looking at their projections going forward. You know, I think they could have been a little bit more bold in their statements, but yeah, we'll see. Overall, at least in the currency market, you guys can see that it was an all right day. Dollar Swiss was kind of the biggest mover. You know, when Dollar Swiss is the biggest mover of the day, it definitely gets written up as funky day, right? Euro, again, a little bit of dollar weakness in here. 49 pips up today. Pound just up slightly. 21 is very, very small. Dollar yen down 74. Again, we've had that continuation to the downside. Dollar Swiss down 79. Again, that is the biggie of the day, kind of consistent for the most part. Dollar CAD down 12, like nothing, which is interesting because, again, with the oil inventory report numbers today. Aussie up about 45, again, less than an ATR. And then Euro pound 24, a little bit of, again, Euro strength there, a little pound weakness. And then pound yen minus 73. So, again, very similar to what we see over in the dollar yen. They're both down about 73 to 75 in that range. So, overall, definitely some trade setups today, although kind of funky, right? Kind of funky, but it's setting up some interesting kind of setups right now. As far as what the news is, again, I had the yellow on there, so we had the crude oil inventories, but you can see for the most part, it didn't really matter what country. A lot of U.S. red in here, pound red, yen red, euro red, China red. A lot of red, right? A lot of red. And again, this Aussie number right now coming in at 3.3, basically more or less as expected for inflation expectations. But again, inflation not going up, kind of, starting to get a little bit less. So really, when everybody is red, you're like, interesting. But at least they held the rate at 0.25. They didn't go in that negative direction, but you never know. Somebody will make comments, and maybe we'll get some movement in that direction. But I don't know. I just don't feel like that's going to really solve anything at this point by going in that direction. If the stock market was much lower, and again, I guess it really goes back to what you use as a gauge of a healthy economy. With people going back to work, I think that you really can't get a true gauge of what employment looks like right now, and what everything looks like. Just because, again, some people are furloughed. People are getting called back to work. Places are going to start opening up. I know Maryland today, we just got the notification that as of next Friday, gyms are opened up, restaurants are opened up. I don't know what the group size currently would be. I didn't see that in the release. Casinos are allowed to open up again. I thought that was kind of interesting that, outside, amusement parks are allowed to open back up. So, I mean, we're still rolling. We're still rolling. There was a little bit of a pop in COVID, but it's still way under what, it used to be. So, yeah, I mean, it's moving. So it's hard to say that the economy's in a bad place when we're at a stage now where we're really going to start picking things up. So, yeah, I don't know. Going into tomorrow, and again, biggest kind of shocker today was for me today, crude oil. 5.7. I was kind of surprised that it was that high. I expected closer to like a zero, kind of like a flat, but 5.7 was quite a big miss. And again, we saw movement go up. We drew on some zone last night, and again, I think they're a little bit too close for a 5.7. There was actually that higher level one, and that's actually what ended up hitting and kind of pushing back to the downside. But I'll show that to you guys a bit later. But for the most part, negative across the board on every single country. Now, going to tomorrow, let me go ahead and get this out of here. Going to tomorrow, things kind of break down a bit. We have the Swiss data, and again, Swiss financial stability report. We don't really get Swiss data too often. We have those Eurogroup meetings. So I think the Eurogroup meetings may provide some type of an insight. Really just kind of, again, where is Europe standing? What type of stimulus is Europe looking for? What type of recovery? What are their expectations? These are the type of things that they're talking about. Obviously, kind of smoothing over the German situation. And again, that's going to be all day, so there's not like a number that's going to get released for that one. But it's kind of an all-day thing. You'll hear comments and things like that. So we also, tomorrow, we have the unemployment claims number. And I'm curious to see if we are at the 1.5 or if that is continuing to drop. And also, we have our core PPI and our PPI tomorrow. So, a little bit of U.S. data tomorrow morning, and then it's kind of, they'll digest the unemployment and the continuous claims and, start talking about who's opening. And, yeah, so I think tomorrow may give us a little bit of a kind of a, I would say not totally flat, but again, I think it'll give us some movement going into, what we're kind of seeing on Friday. Friday, again, starting off super early with that GDP, and then I think this consumer sentiment is so important. I was actually having an interesting conversation earlier today with one of the guys that stops in occasionally, JTech, and he's like, "Well, what do you think? What we occasionally chat back and forth, and bounce things off me." He's like, "Yeah, I don't believe the employment numbers." It's like, well, it doesn't matter if we believe it or not, whether it's right or it's wrong. I mean, it can be adjusted, obviously, but the biggest thing we have to focus on right now is really what consumer sentiment it is, because the economy is driven by the consumer. If the consumer is starting to feel better about things, COVID is not a big deal. We're seeing some positive steps in other directions. That's where really that's what drives the economy. People will start spending. When people spend, that's where really, that's where we get good earnings, and everything kind of trickles down from there, right? I mean, if you're not working, you're stuck at home for 3 weeks homeschooling or 3 months homeschooling, you tend not to spend as much. Now that you're going back again, you're out, you're starting to spend, and heck, maybe you actually have a little bit of some extra saved up. I have a friend of mine who she's single, owns her home, really no expenses, but like her vice is gambling. Like she basically, she's a slot junkie. She goes, slots every week. She's like, "Man, I haven't been able to gamble for 4 months. I have so much money saved up." I'm like, "How much are we talking?" She's like, "I could easily buy a car with cash." I was like, "Okay." So I mean, her first weekend out, she's planning to blow it all, ready to blow it all, and I'm sure there are other people out there as well. So consumer confidence, I think, is really kind of where the focus needs to be, not necessarily first unemployment claims and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where I think we're moving to. Is kind of what the forward facing, the going into the future type situation versus nothing but what happened a month from now or a month ago. All right. So looking at the scanner kind of shows us some interesting kind of interesting data, right? There's not many what's called, not many green squares or setups. The European basket is back in all bullish, okay? And again, going across the board, everything is up more or less across all time frames. With those Eurogroup meetings, that could either help this or kind of hinder it, okay? A lot of times the market will move in preparation of the counter move, and I'm curious to see if that's kind of what this is doing. But you're seeing it, again, Eurobasket, really across the board, everything is up. Yeah, some of it's consolidating, against New Zealand, dollar, and Aussie, it is definitely going up. And for the most part, everything else is kind of consolidating. Now, looking at to see what else is moving, pound. The pound has also gotten strength. Now, Brexit has not been solved. There's still some issues with it. Kind of interesting. Again, you're seeing strength in both the European and the UK currency. So, kind of interesting, right? And then look at this Aussie, right? I mean, for weeks now, we've had nothing but Aussie strength, been blue across the board, and now we only got a little bit Aussie yen up. Everything else is down, right? We banged off that upper supply zone high on the curve, and now we're starting to see retraces back down again. Now, it's not in a free fall or anything like that. It is more or less kind of chopping sideways. Today, we did push a little bit higher, at least in the Aussie dollar. Aussie yen's an interesting kind of setup position. The zones, they were okay. I mean, they basically chopped back and forth for a lot of today. And again, we saw a bounce in gold, but again, that started to die away already. So interesting. Looking at the majors, right? The one over on the left, you're seeing consolidation in dollar CAD, and again, it's 8 pips in 24 hours, so not really worried about it. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, also small. Anchor break in dollar yen, right? That thing was going up, and now it's collapsing. So that's an interesting call to look at. Dollar Swiss continuing to push to the downside, so that's also interesting. The CAD basket is the one that's kind of the I don't know. That one's a little bit all over the place, right? We have CAD yen in the blue side. We have CAD Swiss in the negative side with an anchor break. We have the Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, both of those also sitting on the negative side of things. So the CAD is kind of just, for a while, it was, I don't know, I would say it was it was a trendsetter for a while, or like if the CAD, right, if the CAD was on Instagram, it would be called an influencer before, right? Because it was moving things. Now, it's not moving that much. It's kind of like, you're kind of just at the whim of everybody else. We see Euro strength, right? What do we got up there first? EuroCAD. Then we saw pound is basically all blue. And what do we see number 2? Bam, right there. And then number 3 is dollar CAD. And again, that one's more consolidating. It didn't really have much movement today. But then right behind that, bam, CAD strength over the yen. And again, we've seen yen strength across the board. And even today, you're seeing a little bit more of it coming into the market. So it's like, that's interesting. The CAD is actually gaining some ground, against the yen. Because again, we've had that yen strength has been pretty crazy. So yeah, interesting kind of, you could just sit here and analyze nothing but the scanner and see the correlations and relations back and forth between the different pairs. So yeah, very interesting, very interesting. All right, so let's dive over into charts. Some interesting kind of chart setups today. So we actually had a zone sitting up here. It was the first time we had movement, right? Or we had a little bit of a burst to the downside, right? So again, on the daily, obviously very, very, very high. And again, we spiked back up into that zone again, okay? I'll click it here, and I'll actually overlay it with the, you can see right here with the 4 hour. That's kind of what we're dealing with on the 4 hour. Here's the 1 hour. And again, let me go back up to the daily. So you can see where that zone is. So we were taking this kind of, we're looking to take this aggressive kind of, nice little piece here. It literally got stuck in there, went right back and forth, bounced, popped again. And again, it's acting as kind of a magnet for price, right? It did spike higher, back up into that daily zone, and then kind of push back down again. But it's basically in the same area where we had that push. And again, we're holding. So it's an interesting target. We have pushed to the downside a little bit. And I'm curious to see in the overnight now if we will get a continued push to the downside. Because remember, before really today in FOMC, we were starting to get kind of retracements. And, it's touched this zone twice and has been pushed away. I'm wondering in the overnight if we're going to have something along these lines as far as, profit being right here, setting up a 3-to-1. It's got about 40 pips to run to the downside. And this would be more or less an overnight trade. It would require some dollar strength, but it'd be an interesting push to the downside. That's kind of what I'm looking for in the overnight. For tomorrow morning, and again, it depends on what happens in the overnight. If we're back up here, I'd be looking to go short. So again, if price is able to get down to this level at 69.15 tomorrow morning for PPI, I'd be willing to take this one for long before news. I just like the way that this thing collapsed into it, kind of bounced off of it, retested it. And I do feel that the U.S. data tomorrow will be weak for the U.S. number, and I feel like we're going to get a pop in the Aussie. Now, if we're already high, maybe not so much. And I don't really necessarily like this zone because it's actually formed back here. But this zone down here, the low one, hasn't really been tested as much. And again, it's bouncing off this level. Really the 69.15 or the 69.71, either one of these two, if price is there, I'd be willing to take it. Most likely, I'd say we have a much better shot of hitting here. It's only about 60 pips in the overnight. It's going to need a little bit of help. It's going to need a little bit of help. And again, that news is early tomorrow morning. So, we'll need a little bit of help, the 7:30 to 8:30 window. If it spikes down and it spikes into this 68.71, then I would probably be looking to get long. Only because, again, we've had nice movement off here before. And if we do get an extended body candle spike, it's going to need somewhere to turn. That could be the great turning point. And again, we're still looking for this short just below that. All right. So couple different, small little setups in here. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. Kind of an interesting play. I think the euro yen is actually providing a little bit better opportunity at this point. Something along those lines. All right. Aussie yen. So this one we had set up into a short position. Okay. Kind of the exact opposite. We talked about if price went just a little bit higher, we'd be looking to get short, and that's exactly what happened. This one kicked in right around 2 o'clock. Again, these were the comments about additional stimulus. This was FOMC. Okay. And we mentioned that this would be, a potential drop. And there you go, guys. There's your drop. Came back down again before we hit that zone. So, that one would have been fine from last night's level. And again, it looked very, very similar, right? This is what we're looking for here, this clean burst, and this one kind of sucked sideways into it. This one ended up holding and ended up giving us a nice run. So had you lost the 1 over there, you made the 3 over here, you're still up by 2, okay? Now, again, we have pushed into this zone. Now I'm kind of thinking, hey, listen, if we're able to break through, this is the same analysis we did last night. If we're able to break through this bottom side, get a little bit of, in this case, gray space, all right, a little bit of gray space below, look for a pull down, a pull back up to 74.40, and then he dropped back down to 73.50. Is kind of what we're looking for there. So again, this was an interesting, again, FOMC play, pop into a, hourly zone and drop. Now we're looking for this to continue to the downside. Now, if it turns off this level, this is not really the greatest level. I mean, it stopped it. It drove pretty deep, and it is turning around. I don't necessarily think it's going to hold. You could probably even shorten your risk a little bit more on this one, knowing that zone is there to the downside. But just be cautious. Remember, we do have this yellow zone in here formed with this pullback that we're going to have probably a little bit of a hiccup in. So just be careful. That's coming in at approximately 73.85. So just be a bit cautious. But again, last night we were looking for a collapse below or a pop-up. We got the pop-up. FOMC drove it back down again. And again, we're looking for this to continue to... Is that a Harry Potter trade? Yeah, this is a Harry Potter. Well, when it breaks and comes back up, yeah, it's a Harry Potter. Yep. What's up, Mooney? I love you all. I made it. Kids here. Look, hey guys, I just want to let you guys know. Look at this. Gallo is back in again, and Gallo was the winner from last night. So could Gallo be the ninja that's going to come in and do the first double? Could he be the first doubler? Could be. Trying to get earnest pip chips. Gallo, if you win tonight, you'll be the first one ever to get back-to-back. Once I mentioned that, you get 100 pip chips if you do the back-to-back. We used to get back-to-backs like every so often. We probably get like one a month. Now, since I said this, we haven't gotten one yet. It's been like, I don't know. When did I start doing this? January, guys? I feel like January I said, hey, if anybody wins 2 in a row, you get 100 pip chips additional now. But nobody's won it since that time. The girls have been trying, but right now, no one's there. So again, that's what our assessment is on this one. Euro yen. Look at that. Kind of the same thing. And you guys can see this one actually up into a daily zone. You guys can see where it kind of, pelted around at. Here is... Helps when you're hitting the right key. I'm like, why is it not working? All right, so you can see we bounced here, bounce here, bounce here. Here's where we were last night. Okay, again, sitting inside of that same zone. And we mentioned this. It wasn't the cleanest. Again, here's that yellow zone that we talked about. It bounced right off the yellow zone as well as bounced off of this zone that formed inside of the yellow zone. Okay, so kind of the same thing. Looking for Harry Potter. It is continuing to push the downside. Looking for a break of 121.21. Pull back, grab that entry, take this target down into this level at 120.40. There. Okay. And again, the reason why on this one is there's a racetrack over here, a level of basing. It's popped pretty deep. Again, it's going back into that level again. To the top side, I think this one will have a harder route. It's got an area here. You're still messing with this, this daily zone here. There's a wick over wick sitting right above it. So it's got quite a bit to chunk through the top side. I think dropping through the bottom is a little bit lower. But if we start going up through this zone here, again, we need to start looking at targets back up here around the 123 range. 123, like 75. I think these are going to be areas up here. If we start to break through this level here, this 123.70 is going to be some targets. But I'll be looking for shorts for this one tomorrow. Okay. Pound yen. All right. So this is another one of those trades we had set up. Here's one right now at 21. Last night we were sitting right here. Okay. So we were close. Here's your one entry. Went all the way down to 1 to 5. Okay. Drove all the way up. 8:30 in the morning. There you go, all the way back down to the 1 to 5 again. So this one actually hit profit target 2 different times today. Again, kind of the same thinking. Price had kind of respected it. It had tested it. Great movement off of there. kind of a small risk on this one. You know, target 1 was about 40 pips down. Target number 2 was about 65 down. Okay, and again, 2 different entries, one super early at 2 a.m. and one at 8 o'clock, because I know a lot of us like to sleep late. There you go, right there. And again, this was going along with what we had for news today. Okay, this was the CPI numbers. Okay, popped up, boom, collapsed back down again for 10 o'clock, and then just held. And then right here at 2 o'clock, that's what gave us the bounce and kind of the continued collapse, the downside. So again, there was one of the trade setups we set up last night that was successful. Where we are now, there's an interesting, so if you guys remember, right, I marked off this box here, and in reality, the box is much, much bigger. I did it off the 4 hour and said, hey, listen, if we start falling, we start breaking through here, we could have a big push down to 134.52. Looking at it on an hourly, right, we're kind of below now. On the 30-minute, there's an interesting little level sitting right here. Now, this is a 4 hour level. Okay, I have the 4 hour overlay on right now. Here is a 4 hour level. Okay, it's hard to see on this one. It's just a very, very tiny, you know, tiny little bit there. That's why you can't see it. But there's a 4 hour level sitting right here. Okay, that 4 hour level could be what it needs to grab orders, because again, even on the 30-minute, it's a drop, it's a base. Again, and the base is visible on the 4 hour. That's why I got the box. And a continued push down. Okay, so there may be a continued short sitting right there. Okay, and this could be something we hit in the overnight. That is sitting at about 136.47. Okay, so, you know, a little bit more movement up. We may get in. If it continues to fall, you just won't get into it. But like I mentioned before, you know, looking for, you know, if we get a break from that level below here, really below where this 1 to 5 is, that puts us right into the top of this. Again, that's where this area here is coming into play. Okay. Got another one of these that has a yen that is, you know, a trade set up to the downside. So again, Euro yen, looking for it to come down, right? I'm sorry, Aussie yen. Euro yen, looking for it to collapse. Pound yen, also set up for a collapse to the downside. So it's pretty interesting. You have 3 in a row, right? There's your pound. Okay, so for the pound, this one actually came right up to that knockout that we had talked about. It moved up to this knockout at about 2 o'clock. Again, this was FOMC. It pulled literally right up. This one was in what, 5 pips of the knockout there, and then kind of pulled all the way back down again. So this one was a little bit harder of a setup. Again, a lot of wicking back and forth. You can see that there was a zone underneath. I mean, look at this candle right here. This was the, you know, this candle right here was the FOMC candle. It is about 100 pips wide, and the open and close is about 4 pips. So talk about a lot of indecision. Kind of a really weird thing. And again, we were waiting for price to go just a bit higher. I would say same thing. This one to me also looks like it's kind of pushing back to the downside as well. It's bouncing off a level. I wouldn't really be looking to get long until we get back down in this range. I think that's the first time there's any long targets that are probably worth it. And it's already moved quite a bit of a ways to the downside. So I like the pound yen a little bit better on this one. But I think that's, you know, this level here, again, I've marked this hand level off. I think that's a better zone, and we could actually even be set up for a collapse because, you know, we formed the zone. We went about 40% of the way, went about 95% of the way through. So, you know, depending on how it hits, because there's actually 2 levels in here, but the first one would be kind of sitting up in here. Yeah, I'm looking for a small bounce. But I'd like to, coinciding that one with a news release would be the best. Okay, so bearish in the overnight, at least the European Open, and then we'll see kind of where the sellers are coming in at. Euro pound. So Euro pound right now is 31 pips higher. All of that movement has really come in on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Over the last 9 hours, it was basically dead flat, no trend, no nothing, really not much you can do. We talked about how these were going higher the peaks, and again, we're kind of just slightly higher than this peak now. There is a little intermediate zone sitting kind of right in here. I don't really like it that much. There's 2 wicks that are above, so it kind of goes up, comes down, bases, goes up, and comes down again, and then collapses. There are sellers in this area, but as far as getting an actual setup on it, I don't know that we have too much really super clean. This is probably the best draw we can put on it. It's about 12 pips, so it's not horrible. And again, we know that price is forcibly pushed down from that level, but that is starting to push us a little bit high on the 30-minute curve, and there is a zone sitting right above it right there. Okay, again, a lot of basing, an impulse move, a correction move, and another impulse move. So kind of a lot going on with that one, right? Kind of a lot going on. And again, still kind of waiting for it to hit this area. But again, you guys can see lower highs, lower lows. It is still pushing back towards that yellow area. I'd really like it to get to this yellow area, break this one by the end of the week. Next week, I would love to take a short in this one. But we're not. It's fighting. It's fighting. It's doing its best. So, not a huge fan of euro pound right now. Euro dollar. All right, so euro dollar is one of those ones that we also had another position. So this one ended up coming up, and it also did the same thing. So I've left it on there because I'm curious to see if this one will continue and give us some opportunity to the downside. So had we taken this one, you would have got stopped out for about 12 pips. Again, rather small area. It literally just kind of, again, there's something going on here because, again, up, down, right below, right up, came back down and used this as a base as well. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to save this one for later, and instead of using it here, I'm probably going to use it somewhere along here and then look for something along these lines, right? Again, turn this color. Right there. Okay. Now, this one, whenever you have this much basing right below the entry, it does start to wear on you. And again, really kind of chop back and forth. This one also had quite a large FOMC candle. I mean, this one had about 100 pips. Again, more to the bullish side, but really hasn't changed much. I mean, I think about where it's moved, you know, from here up, you're talking about 40 pips, and it really kind of was all over the place with volatility. So Euro group meetings tomorrow may help us. Again, that's where we see some European weakness when they mention stimulus or how long, you know, how bad their economy is. So I think this short here is also coinciding with what we have tomorrow. But had we been taking this one, and again, remember, you know, had we had, you know, a zone in here, and actually this should have been less than that. It should have been yeah, it was 10 pips, sorry. 10 pips there. We were also dealing with a zone here. Kind of a bit of an overlap, right? But you guys can see, neither one of them held. Both of them kind of bounced around multiple times. So just kind of a funky one. And again, what you can do about that. You're not going to win them all. Not going to win them all. All right. So overall targets to the downside. Again, I still like this one short. But again, I just want to continue it across, you know, push it a little bit farther over at this point and you know, wait for the entry. You know, be patient with it. And you'll notice this one had the funkiest FOMC candle. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD's only moved 2 pips in 24 hours. This is the daily. You guys can see we are actually sitting here, and it actually is a month. It's set on a monthly zone right now, but you guys can see. You guys can see it bounce off a 4-hour zone. There's your hourly. Right, really no movement at all. It looks like at about. Looks like right around 2 o'clock FOMC, we got a little spike down and a little spike up. The candle was about 95 pips, so I mean, I guess it's, you know, it's a decent move. Let's see, I can make that's more kind of what it looks like, right? And it bounced into a 4-hour zone. Okay, 4-hour zone was sitting right here, right here, or actually right here. Right here was FOMC, and this is the statement right here. So a pop down and a pop back up. This is pure volatility and then really no movement. So from the pre-FOMC meeting note, we're 14 pips off of that. And all it did was spike down, hit a 4-hour zone, and then spike back up again in that time frame. This zone, again, this is not really, it's a 26 pip zone. We could have taken it. Not horrible. I don't even think, we probably hit it now. Yeah, we just hit it now. Yep, so we just hit the 3-to-1. So that was kind of a pre-FOMC move. I'm actually kind of surprised. You know, it respected that zone. It pushed back up to where its proper target would have been. The only thing that I would have liked about this one is that the 1 to 3 was right where an opposing zone was, and that's what it did. I don't know. I thought we'd get more, you know, after I saw the big oil number, I figured we'd get more movement out of this one today. I didn't trade this one. I kind of saw this one later in the day, and I was like, huh, look at that. The way that this one looks, it looks like it's going to roll over and continue to push down. If you do take this short again, make sure you're out by this, the bounce point. Again, 4-hour zone down here at 133.39. So make sure you're out before that one. But again, for me, this one looks like it's bearish. I think we're going to have bad U.S. news tomorrow morning is what my guess. Or we're going to, obviously have a negative dollar effect in it. I think this one will come back down. And again, we'll see what it does in the overnight. But I do think it will be a negative U.S. number. And again, I think it will go down. But it may actually put that work in tonight. Like I said, bouncing off of his zone right here. There's the indicator drew it. It hit it. And it's pushing to the downside now. There's the 3-1. And actually the 1-5 would probably almost be worth taking as well. Wealth. Okay, guys. So Wealth Builder is doing one of the, calling your shot thing. Like, I don't know. We can use whatever movie you want. Like Major League. Remember in Major League when he called his shot? Kind of the same idea. I feel like Wealth Builder's like, I'm winning tonight. I got a plan. I got this. Yeah. I've been making the most of mine. Yeah. I mean, James, to me, like I would say that this would be one of those in the overnights. This is what this one looks like to me. But yeah, oil's been funky. All right, so we actually had a buy in this one. Okay, we were actually the original setup on this one was we would come down and we were looking at a level here. Okay, we'd seen some nice movement of it. The one warning was that this one did drive pretty deeply, but again, this was a nice extended range candle. This is one of those trades that invalidates itself. And as you guys know, right, whenever we have basing right before a zone, that's typically one of those things where we're like, you don't typically want to take it, right? And that's exactly what happened. Look at this. It came right below. It based right above and then pushed in, which is typically a telltale sign that, hey, listen, this is probably going to hit some resistance. It's going to pull back up again. And what did it do? It literally grabbed the base level and then drove right through. So, again, a lot of these, again, we got to be a bit careful. Again, particularly when you have a lot of news in this one, you got to make sure that they're set up correctly. All right. Dropping it down to an hourly, you can see kind of what that looked like. You can see the level of basing. Look at this. Literally riding along the top here. That was our first telltale sign. And then down here, again, basing right below that level, right? So here's the 4-hour entry. Again, there's your base, and we can see that it's starting to bounce right off the top of that entry. There's the base. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. Nothing, nothing, nothing. What did it do? It pulled down, and it pulled right back up to grab those additional sellers to get the force to push all the way through. So, interesting trade. Again, another one of those ones that it was just, I didn't, from looking over here early this morning, it was kind of like, and once we hit this and it stopped moving, it's like, yeah. And then again, that's where we got kind of the 2 o'clock FOMC candle. So, didn't like this setup once we had the basing, but I want to leave it on here to make sure that I explain that. Whenever you have these setups, again, if you have an extended range worth of basing, and that went from about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were still sitting really on the kind of the upper side without really any type of a bounce till about 10. So, it's been about 7 hours in the same exact spot before the zone, meaning that buyers are stepping in a little bit early to fight that. But again, that means also there was going to be sellers sitting above. So, it was just one of those things, just not really a whole lot of entry. The other thing, too, is we had this level marked off before. We never actually got a Harry Potter entry to take this one short. I know I mentioned that last night as well. It just ended up driving straight down. We never got any type of a pullback, type of position in this one. So, unfortunately, this is one of those ones, missed opportunity. I mean, the analysis was there. We talked about it, but it just didn't give us the actual entry you're looking for. The parameters and the rules were broken when this one decided that it was going to base and form a level of sellers right above where we wanted to go long. Okay? Remember, we never want to be buying into areas of sellers. We never want to be selling in areas of buyers. And this is a case where you would have been buying in an area of sellers. And again, on this lower time frame, you can see there's your spike. And what did it do? It hit the level. It reacted like we expected, came back up, took those sellers out, and then boom, continued to push down. It needed more oomph. Now we're sitting in a lower level. We are basing through. This one, though, I would let it marinate overnight. Kind of see where we're going to be. Again, we actually just had some Japanese data. We don't get that too often. Actually, that is, let's see, was that? Yeah, and it was actually a negative number. So we don't get it too often, but the manufacturing index, much, much worse. And again, It's a little miss. It's not big. This is much worse than what was expected. Okay. So some of this movement that we're getting may actually be caused by the Japanese news on the manufacturing. But it's going to start running into zones, bouncing, and things like that. But I wouldn't take it in the overnight. Let this one run. It's the Asian session. It's kind of running by itself right now. You don't have U.S. traders kind of counterbalancing and fighting this yen move. Okay, this is purely their move right now. So let them have their time and let it go. So this guy, man, we've been like, come on. We were looking for the entry on this one, right? Well, look what happened. Okay. Here's the stop. There's the entry. We talked about breaking through. There's the FOMC retest back up again. And there's the push. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but here is the top of the Harry Potter move, right? Right there. And we marked that one off yesterday. And then there's the spike. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Right there. Now, still got that other zone sitting up there, but again, drop, pop, and continue to push to the downside. Unfortunately, this one didn't have any knockouts or anything, so it was purely a binary trade. As it spiked up, it was right at FOMC, so it may not have been one of the things that people necessarily wanted to take. It's down about 40 pips right now. So, again, any knockout would have had way too much risk inside of it. Actually, I guess we did break a couple of them today. But we talked about breaking them to the downside. I don't have Nadex client up right now, but 2 of them actually got broken. And remember last night we talked about, hey, if this goes down, it's got to break a couple on the way down. It did. So again, it broke through. It got the pullback. It continued to push down. It's about 60% of the way through on this one. A little bit bigger of a risk zone though on this one. This was about 22 pips, and you needed those 22 pips. But this one was drawn. I don't think we drew. Pretty sure we drew it off the hourly. Yeah, it's drawn off this hourly zone right here. And actually, I guess you could have shrunk it a little. Right there. So yeah, we could have shrunk it just a little bit. Okay. All right. I got left in a dust on this one. Yeah, I mean, it was there. It's very, very, you may have just missed entry on this one. It's, pretty close, depending on the spread. And the only reason I'm saying, Ernest, that you probably would have got into this one had you even had it at that level is because at FOMC, the spread would have widened, which would have given you the benefit here. So, I mean, I think it only missed by... It missed by 1.3, and the spread would have been increased by at least 1.3. The spread right now is 3. So again, you would have most likely gotten into this one because of the, obviously the volatility associated with it. All right. So that's what we got going on. Again, not much to do with that one right now. All right. NQ. So NQ on a daily basis. Again, kind of a push, right? Here's your 4 hour. Again, there's your 1 hour. All right. I had marked this off yesterday, and we talked about if you're looking to get long, right? So this is on the hourly. Here's where we are right now. Whoops. Wrong one. I'm like, why is this other thing bouncing? All right, so I'm trading TTT on this other one. What is TTT? ProShares Trust Ultra Short. Man, that's a horrible one. Definitely don't trade that one. I have TradingView up on the other one, or DailyFX, and it's pulling up TradingView charts on TTT. I'm like, I don't know what that is, because I was trying to get the time function. So here's where we are now. Last night for chart school, we were sitting right here, okay? And we talked about, hey, listen, there's a base here, a nice push, a base, a pop, a retest, and then we would see what it would do. It did. You can see that the green overlaps the white box, so we were able to get long this one. And again, this is one of those continuation patterns to the top side. There. No, right there. Okay. And as you guys can see, the 1 to 3 got hit as well as the 1 to 5 got hit, although I would not have been in this trade messing with FOMC this afternoon. Just a bit risky. You would have had your 1 to 3. And that's what I mentioned. Getting in 1 to 3, grab it, get out for NQ. So NQ is continuing to push. Kind of just bounced off the same level again, which is going a bit higher. I'd be a bit more cautious with this lower level. Again, it's been hit twice now, although this one held up pretty well. This one's a bit deeper, so if we do get kind of this failure to go higher here and push, I don't know that the current zone right below would hold. I'd be much more likely to buy it down here at 99.65, but it also depends on what type of levels we put into the downside. But there's the continuation that we talked about last night. Again, clean level, a bounce, and we were waiting to see what it was going to do, and there you go. It hit it about 6 o'clock this morning and continued to push higher. So you could have technically been out of this one by, I'm going to guess, 9 o'clock this morning. Wait, hold on. That is actually at 8. So you could have been out completely before PPI or CPI this morning and been done for the day with just NQ. Okay. So again, you got to look for the same thing. Look for the pullbacks. Look for this thing to continue to push higher. Let it roll. Okay. All right. So this guy. Yeah. All right. So here's where we are now. 2130. When we go back to 2130, it's right here. Okay. 2130 is right here. We were mentioning that, here you go, guys. There's your short, right? We use this upper end of this bracket right here. Again, that was sitting inside of a 4-hour zone. Okay, this is the 30-minute, but this is inside of a 4-hour zone. Price pulled up right at chart school last night, right? Right at this time last night at 9:46, we were in that level. Okay, so we drew the level, it touched. If you did not get in, you missed this whole thing. Continue to push, push. Again, missed it here, pushed. Didn't get another entry, drop. Came back up, didn't give you another entry, and dropped again. So this one was just there to tease people today. It's like, hey, it's coming up to a level. Get ready to sell. Never mind, we're going to leave without you. So literally the only way to get this one would have been last night when we talked about it. Again, this kind of failure to go higher. Again, nice push off of it in the past. They grabbed it in the overnight. And then, again, we ended up hitting the profit in this one. 5 a.m., hit the 1 to 5. At 6, it pulled back. Even if you held it, again, it went even farther. Entered the zone, and again, you guys can see I mentioned kind of taking this zone over. We hit the very, very top. Look at this. The very, very top of this zone and turned. And then, boom, now we're about halfway through it. Okay, to the downside, and it's looking for more orders to push lower. So S&P, I would say it's doing the same thing. We got a level basing right above it. Again, this was a great overnight trade. This was getting what out of this one? Let's see. Going from what? Approximately 32.27 down to 32.09. So again, grabbing what, 20 points? 20 points in the overnight. Grabbing 30 points in the overnight to 1 to 5. Not too bad of a day. Okay, when people are looking to get much less than that. And how much risk did you really have in this trade ever? I mean, we talked about it's about 5 points, but it really didn't give you much heat whatsoever. We went from 27 up to 29. So yeah, so ended up moving 2 points negative at the most. Ended up giving you 30 in the other direction, 20 or 30 in the other direction. So yeah, nice little short there. Hopefully some of you guys got that from last night's chart school. Again, that was triggering right when we got into it. Where we are now, again, I would say it's either going to go a little bit higher, grab this base, or it's going to start failing here and faltering and starting to continue to push down. But I would say this one looks negative to me tomorrow. The Dow. Yeah, so the Dow is my big disappointment. Again, we've been talking about getting a pop into that level. It hasn't gotten back up to there, and it hasn't even got up to the next level that we had nice movement off of. The Dow pushed away, didn't give us many entries there as well. Even on the 30-minute, you guys can see that there's some levels painted in here, but it never touches the previous level. Right? We had this level here that, again, we talked about. Couldn't get up to it. Didn't get up to it. A little bit of a level here, and then, again, we had a final collapse to the downside. Again, this is the FOMC kind of spike. And it did go just higher, so it would have been kind of one of those levels that you're like, do you take this one or do you wait for this? This is a better option. Never hit it. Continue to push lower. Now, you may say, hey, what did it bounce off of? You guys can see it right here, right? This level right here. Okay. And that was the 10 o'clock bounce this morning. Okay. Easy bounce in. And again, every day there's one of these three is always hitting on one of them. Okay. There. There. And you can see the spike. Basically, it got us right up there and spiked right into it at the FOMC notes. And then turned around and collapsed much lower. And then based at the same level. So, interesting setup in this one. I mean, again, there is almost kind of a little Harry Potter sitting up right here. Again, this was a level of basing, previously violated zone. It bounced through, came up, it based and violated. this is typically one of those things that you're like, yeah, you know what? If this hits up in this level right here, that could be, not a bad little short. Obviously, this wouldn't be pink, or this would be pink. This would not be green. And you have it set this way, right? Change that to green. Bam, right there. Okay, but again, 10:30. Actually, like I said, it hit the first time at 10 o'clock. So 10:30 reversal into a 30-minute zone. Rather small zone, went back up, got you out at your 1 to 3 here. Almost at the 1 to 5 again. You want to make sure that you were out on that one as well. It's a Harry Potter to the downside because again, it violated this prior zone of buyers. It is pushed down. It's given us the white space. We really would have liked if this green one would have spiked all the way up. But yeah, it's the same thing. Social links. And there's all these new things. So Twitch, the format of Twitch has changed now. And it's like, click here to add links. Click here to do this. Click here. I'm like, oh God, there's so much stuff to click now. I need to go update everything tomorrow. Allows viewers to connect with you. Yeah. All right, so that's that one. All right, so gold. Okay, what did I tell you yesterday? If they mentioned the word stimulus, which they did, boom, look what happened. Okay, now, I'm bearish gold again, but I missed an entry. So here's a little 30-minute, or I guess a little hourly zone. Again, nice rally up. It bounced off of this zone. You got to realize that, hey, listen, it's probably not going to go much farther. This one kind of went down and just spent so much time here. Had you gotten short here, again, you would have known, hey, listen, you need to get out. Get out of breaking, get out of small loss. It had its chance, and it just been unable. You had the higher highs in here. Hit it again, another higher low. It was a low, higher low, higher low. You're like, no, I'm getting out. The movement's not there. It just keep pushing, 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 and you had the basing below the level, and now you're seeing it confirmed. Get out, okay? Now, at that time, it came back down again, ended up hitting its pullback area, and then launching itself, from 79.01, I'm sorry, 17.09 up to 17.39. So like $30 jump because of FOMC. And again, basically the mention of stimulus. Okay. 21 is here. And last night we were sitting right here. So again, you would have known, hey, listen, we've already pushed one. Getting up in that range again. Be cautious. This one went all the way through, and that's what it did. All right. But again, pop, boom. Now I'm looking for this area. Looking for it to take over that. Unfortunately, there's where the entry was. On the 30-minute, it gets very, very small. It ended up bouncing off that, that 4-hour zone. Actually, I guess it's a daily. It should be a 4-hour, right? Yeah, it's a 4-hour zone. So there's your setup. And actually, we mentioned this one last night. Hold on. Have out. That level was about there. I think we talked about this one last night. Oh, no. The closest one was the 57. Yeah, the best one the closest one was is in this range, right? So, yeah, not so much. Okay. They got some work to do with these still. But again, popped into a 30-minute, popped into a 4-hour zone that had a nice kind of push here. Again, one big gigantic emotional candle because of FOMC. This is the stimulus word, and I'm looking at this one to retrace back down again by tomorrow. Okay, silver. So silver got crazy. Okay, silver again. We talked about this yesterday. We hit full profit target down here. It came back up again, hit, and literally just missed its exit. Just missed it. So close. Again, almost got this one for 2 different times, but again, this was from last night. Again, it was this entry here, and again, we were able to get it a second time. So now, yeah, this one also was a little bit disappointing, and I mentioned that we had this wick over wick here. I'll box it off, but I'm not too concerned about it. We talked about this level here. It ended up going just a bit above. Actually, I guess this on this chart it stayed in, right? But there was this level right here. Just see it. Kind of the same idea. Again, basically taking this one short. guys can see this one is really putting in some work to get back down again. I think by tomorrow it will probably be back down in the 1760 range. Just way too much of an emotional burst, but it gave you the same exact thing. Yeah, and silver's a little bit trickier to play. This one actually came in right around, yeah, this was the FOMC. It popped down into that hourly zone and then launched itself right out of it. So again, as far as it like a teaching process, this is a great example of what happens when price drives into a level before news. It's typically driving in for a specific reaction. It worked pretty hard the hour and a half before through lunch, right? Through lunch to drive itself into here. And then all of a sudden, bam. Next candle comes in, launches itself. So it's there. Again, like I said, silver's been a little bit trickier to play. I didn't trade this one either, just in full disclosure. But it was there, dropped in right in the right time, and continued out. All right, so oil. I've been pretty excited to talk about oil. So we had levels drawn, and we mentioned top or bottom if price was there before the news. Now, it didn't actually get up there before the news. We're hoping for it to really kind of push one way or the other. So we're looking basically right here. You guys can see where the peak was. It pulled the second level. So this was kind of that first one. We had bounced off of it one time, and we hit it, came down. And remember we talked earlier about the euro yen? Whenever you see levels basing right before, that typically acts as a level where it's going to find some kind of, support in there, right? So it did. It kind of based. It stopped. It got front run, but then it didn't really push back. It based and then pushed higher. Ended up going for the higher one. Now, the higher one was pretty interesting. Why? Because there was a $40 knockout there. Okay, $40 knockout. And I mentioned if we get close, this one got up to $39.90. So within 10 cents of breaking the knockout out. And I believe the knockout is still there. I don't think this one. Yeah, the knockout didn't get taken out. Knockout number 5, right? And again, being down here at 38.50. Again, this one has got $1 something into it already, right? So not too bad. It's a $5 one. You're about 25% of the way through. The way that it's basing right here, the looking to the left, I think that this one will come back down. Most likely end up over here tomorrow, down at the 38 area. Again, that's not too bad. Getting $2 out of that knockout bracket with, 10-cent risk? I mean, it was so small. That was a pretty interesting one. Check Natix prices just to make sure. It should be the same, though. Yeah, it's fine. There's where the knockout is. So again, here it came to, let's see, drawings, horizontal line. Yep, within 12 cents, 11 cents of that knockout. Oh wait, hold on. Oh yeah, crude oil. I was like, wait a second. I thought it was on the gold chart. Yeah, so look, right there, knockout number 5. There was the dotted line from last night. So I don't know if anybody caught that one or not, but that was a pretty nice little grab. Like I said, it bounced off of this one, got front run, based, hit it again, pulled back again. It's kind of like, yep, there's, looks like it's having some problems, but it's finding, some sellers right above. All right. So with that said, where do we go with this one tomorrow? Okay. Whoops. Hold on. Let me. What the heck is it? There it is. So areas that I would look for in this one, again, levels of basing right here. It's kind of pushing down, although, like I said, whenever you see things like this, it looks like the candles are getting a little bit bigger, pushing more towards the downside. I think it's probably going to have a little bit of a sticking point right here, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is where we end up tomorrow. Again, at least as an area where price will push down to and maybe bounce off of, but provide something for us, right? Last time price was there, and again, the zone is actually, we could actually draw the zone back here off of this level, right? That's where the actual zone is. But we had a nice reaction. Again, pulled up, hit, and then boom, just exploded to the top side. So any shorts that you're in, make sure that you're looking to collect your profits at, 37.95-ish, right? Right around that 38 area. It's about another 60-cent drop. I think you want to be a bit cautious with that one. Oh, God, I got things everywhere. Well, let me close. There. I saw my windows. Yeah. So that's where I'd have targets for any of your shorts in the overnight. It technically starts at 37.90, but again, go with the round number. Get yourself out at 38, 60-cent gainer if you get on that one short to the downside. I think it's pretty safe. I think that's safe. But like I said, this was the conservative target that we took, and yeah, it wanted the higher. And again, I'll draw on here because I get asked this question a lot about curves. Change that. Oh. And then again, I'm off by a little bit. The red one's a little bit big, but you guys get the idea. Okay. Okay. Definition of the curve for those of you that are struggling with understanding the curve and understanding the probabilities associated with it. Okay. Top, again, you're taking your higher level and your lower level, right? Really kind of the extremes. Okay. Obviously, this level up top was the extreme close to the highs. Obviously, down here was kind of the near term supply zone on the lows, right? Or the demand zone, right? So demand, supply. Top 33% is where you're looking to get short. Middle, kind of no man's land, is where you're like, not really. And then you're looking to get long and on the bottom side. So price at this level was kind of right at that kind of, we're just starting to get there. Obviously, the extreme is always the best. And as you guys can see, that's where, it bounced off the extreme level. I like that, right? Top 30, top 33, middle 33, bottom 33. And that's really the definition of looking for the curve, going back and looking at your levels of supply and demand. Okay. But you got to be able to find supply and demand. But that's why that would have been a much better trade than one up top near the touch bracket. I didn't actually think it was going to rally that high. So it did get a bit higher, but we did mention it being that, hey, listen, if the dotted line is there, if we get close to that one, that could be good as well. And it did. It went farther than I thought. But again, we saw this basing here, which would have been validated this level last night. So that's what we got for oil. We've been gravitating. Yep. Yeah, James, it's really been sticking here a lot longer than I thought it would stay here. I didn't think it would stay in this range that long. Yeah, you can see that, back and forth. Yeah, it really likes this level, right? Kind of like, we pushed through. We were riding along the top of it here. We came back up and we kept touching it, right? It was like home base. Then we went below it and we were touching it here, kind of got back up in that, mid 38 range, right? Came down, came back up and touched it again, came back up, now over and back up again, and we're back in that 38.50 range. So, yeah, it really, really likes that 38.50 range. Really just kind of in here. I mean, it's kind of like this, right? Spent a lot of time in this channel. Back in it again. So, yeah, pretty interesting. So, all right, guys. So that is oil. Like I said, not as many. I'll leave this up here for tomorrow night as well. Not as many tonight. Like I said, there was a lot of FOMC trades today. Again, a lot of these reversals. Well, we have 3 10 a.m. reversals this morning. Many profit targets that were accomplished with FOMC notes. But every single day, we're running into 2, 3, sometimes even 4 of these 10 o'clock reversals bouncing off these 30-minute levels. Again, this was an hourly, but you could have seen this one on the 30-minute as well, even with silver. So, a couple different opportunities. Like I said, overall, it looks like we are short yen in numerous pairs, or looking to get short. There, and there. All 3 of them are looking like they are getting ready for short positions to the downside. So let's see. Anything else really? Again, this one is finally out. Again, NQ looking for a pullback. Again, this would not be the pullback I'd be using. Forget this green box. I'd be looking for something a little bit cleaner, and that's not that clean. S&P, I'm like I mentioned before, I'm thinking this one's going to continue to push the downside, and again, we just opened up a new candle and it's already, it's printed red, so that one's continuing to go lower. Same thing with the Dow. I was hoping we get a little bit push of an up so we can get entry in this one. I'm afraid we're going to hit profit target on this one before we can get our entry. Dow on the overnight to the downside. And oil, same thing. I feel like that one's going to come down. So a lot of red on the board. Don't forget tomorrow morning. It's not this guy. Don't forget tomorrow. What we got going on. Okay. Most of the movement for the U.S. is going to come down here. Now, the way to play this tomorrow morning would be this is an 8:30 release. Look for the news reaction to this in the overnight, and then look for reversals at 10:30. I think that'll be the best. If anybody is trading natural gas is supposed to have an interesting release tomorrow as well. A buddy of mine who tracks this says he was mentioning, he sent me something earlier. He's like, hey, make sure you look at natural gas tomorrow. I don't trade it that often, but he tends to like it a lot, so I'll probably look at it tomorrow if you're around. But again, big things too tomorrow is this Euro group. This could definitely bring in. We've had so much Euro strength lately for the last 2 weeks. This could finally be giving us the negativity in the Euro, which should be interesting. All right. Rest of this, bond auction, not worried about. This New Zealand FPI, not necessarily interested. And foreign direct investment, not as worried about this one. I love this one. When is it? Sometime between the 11th and the 18th. We don't know exactly, but sometimes, sometimes there. This is interesting too. Powell's committed to reviving jobs. It's an interesting piece today. Like this. Great uncertainty about the future. I don't know. I don't know that I would say there's great uncertainty about it. I get that he's trying to do his job, right? But we do see full recovery over time. I love this. Great uncertainty, but we're going to see full recovery. But I mean, it'll be okay. So, all right, so let's go ahead and do the drawing. Hopefully tonight does not get messed up again. But anyway, here we are right now. Looks like we have 9 entrants, 10 tickets in. I will go ahead and shut this down at 1:05 exactly. So you got 50 seconds to get in. The winner last night was Gallo. So if Gallo was able to take this win tonight, he will get an extra 100 pip chips and be the first ever to duplicate since we came up with that rule. And again, remember that rule? I'm pretty sure it was January. I'm almost positive it was January. But as that's coming in, I will tell you guys as well. So I am probably going to start mixing chart schools up to try to do one a day, but mix them up. So do like a Monday night, the Tuesday Nadex, Wednesday night, Thursday morning at like 8 a.m. And then maybe what I was thinking about doing was I'm trying to mix it up to where I'm mixing in between morning and nights now, but not doing like 12 webinars a day. So I'm trying to, maybe I'll do, I don't know, I'm going to figure this out. But the goal was use the Nadex as our Tuesday. Maybe I'll do, I think I'm going to start doing Friday mornings because, again, Friday there's a lot of stuff and a lot of stuff happens in the overnight. So I think Friday mornings is something important to add. But doing a Thursday night and a Friday morning doesn't always make sense. The other option is to do one, whether a Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday night, something like that. Like, and kind of do like a, what we saw the week before and what I don't know. I'm kind of throwing around different ideas. But I feel like, we're missing out a little bit on, again, not having Friday mornings. And I told the wife I'd like to kind of mix it around a little bit. And she was supportive of that, of kind of changing things a bit. So, yeah, I'm bouncing ideas around that one. If you guys have some ideas and you want to help me with it, more, I appreciate it. Just go ahead and type it into Discord and let me know kind of what works the best or what you think would be a good kind of thing. I definitely won't do Tuesday mornings because I already have the Nadex one at 12. So I'm not going to do I'm not going to do an 8 and then a 12. That's just too much. Although currently right now again, I'm trying to coordinate with lacrosse too for the boys. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do the drawing. Let's see if Gallo was able to pull 2 in a row. Winner of tonight's is Wealth Builder. Holy crap. He did by 4, but holy crap. I mean, I guess he did have a 25% chance. But the man called it. He said he had a plan. Wait, wow. Hold on. I gotta do this. Man. I have a plan. Look at this. Here. I have a plan. Followed up by. Look at that. Wow. Wow. He called this shot, and he won. Man. Wait, no, I can't find it. I was like, oh, wait. Man. I'm trying to see if I can find the thing. All right, so Wealth Builder takes the 25 pip chips tonight. We'll go ahead. Where's Wealth Builder? Right here. We'll go ahead and give our 25 out. Pretty good. Man called it. Quite impressed. Look at that. Pretty crazy. So, all right, guys. With that being said, I know rigged, right? I don't know how he does it. Yeah, he did it though. Right? There we go. I get this feeling sometimes. The hair stands up on the back of my arms, and he wins. Look at that. Can't believe it. How many times has Ernest said that I'm winning tonight, but then doesn't win? Yeah. Man, go Wealth Builder. Got to give the guy credit, man. He called the shot. Gallows over here like, I want to recount. I want to recount. All right, guys. With that said, I'm out of here. If you guys have some ideas on what nights and what mornings and a good combination of chart schools of what you feel will be the most helpful, go ahead and type it in Discord or in one of the channels and let me know what you guys think. And I graciously look for that feedback. So I will catch you guys tomorrow, and you guys have good trading. Take care.